Have you ever wondered how ordinary words can secretly unlock extraordinary power? In Maria's world, a single turn changed a career, a quiet stand revealed courage, and a simple bring sparked new ideas. This story follows people who don't memorize long lists. They weave everyday verbs into vivid actions, turning obstacles into openings. As meetings are held, plans set off, alarms go off, and hopes rise, hidden meanings surface in moments that feel real, urgent, and human. Read on, listen closely, and test your instincts. When the next choice arrives, will they turn back or turn the tables? You might be surprised. At the very beginning of our journey, one simple idea takes root. Everyday words can carry extraordinary power if we dare to look deeper. Maria's story begins with a single decision, a choice that at first seemed ordinary, but soon turned into the spark that would transform her life. She was not the strongest in her team, nor the most experienced, yet she sensed that her future would not be built by waiting quietly in the background. Instead, she would need to step forward, to test the hidden strength inside words like hold, stand, and turn. These were no longer just actions, but pathways to progress, tools she could use to shape her story. Picture Maria on a Monday morning, holding a notebook in her hand, her heart racing as she prepared to walk into the office. The meeting she was about to attend wasn't just another item on her schedule. It was the moment where she would choose whether to remain silent or to bring up her own vision. The choice might seem small, but words like bring up, stand out, and hold on would become her compass. She decided to take on a new project, a task that others had rejected. While her colleagues saw problems, she chose to see opportunity. This simple step forward marked the beginning of her transformation, and it would not be the last. The first days were far from easy. She had to run on very little sleep, to balance family promises with professional commitments, and to push through doubts that threatened to hold her back. At times, she nearly fell apart, but she reminded herself to hold on to her belief in progress. That belief became her anchor, the steady hand that kept her upright when fatigue or fear pressed in. Each late night, each challenge, became a test of whether she would stand by her decision or turn back to comfort. And each time, she chose to stand her ground. Slowly, something began to shift. By daring to act, she started to stand out. Others noticed the spark in her work, the courage in her choices, the way she could carry forward a vision that many thought impossible. Maria did not rise by luck. She rose because she was willing to face. After Maria made her bold decision to step forward, she quickly discovered that courage alone would not be enough. The real challenge began when obstacles appeared, testing her resolve in ways she had never imagined. At first, her workload felt overwhelming. She had to run on very little sleep, often staring at her computer long after midnight, while her family reminded her of the promise she had nearly broken, to take a long-awaited vacation together. Every choice seemed like a tug-of-war between personal life and professional ambition. Yet Maria reminded herself of one simple phrase: hold on. She held on to her vision and her belief that every sacrifice, if chosen with care, would eventually carry her closer to success. In these moments of pressure, Maria learned another lesson. She could not simply stand alone. She needed to stand by her colleagues and, in turn, earn their trust. Instead of competing against them, she reached out, offering to help with tasks that others avoided. Slowly, her willingness to support the team began to shine. What others saw as small, tedious responsibilities, Maria treated as stepping stones. And because she was consistent, her quiet strength began to stand out. People noticed, not because she asked for attention, but because her actions spoke louder than any presentation could. Still, not everything turned in her favor at once. There were setbacks that nearly pushed her to the edge. A critical project almost collapsed, and Maria was tempted to give in. But she remembered that every story of growth carries moments of near failure. Instead of turning back, she decided to turn the tables. She restructured the plan, invited fresh ideas, and motivated her peers to believe the challenge was possible. What seemed like defeat slowly turned into an opportunity to prove resilience. It was in this fire that Maria discovered another truth. Advanced meanings of words like turnaround or rise above were not just idioms. They were life skills, strategies she could live by. Her journey also taught her the importance of bringing in fresh energy. At times, the stress nearly drained her spirit, but each time she reminded herself to bring about a change in perspective. Maria's persistence soon began to create ripples far beyond her own desk. What had started as a personal test of endurance was slowly turning into an example that others noticed, admired, and even began to follow. Yet, with recognition came new trials. Success, she realized, attracts both opportunities and doubts. Some colleagues openly praised her ability to stand out, but others whispered that she was overreaching, moving too fast or trying to shine too brightly. This was her next challenge, learning not just how to move forward, but how to rise above criticism without losing her balance. Instead of letting negativity drag her down, Maria reminded herself of her guiding phrases. When others doubted her, she told herself, "Stand your ground." When exhaustion tempted her, she whispered, "Hold out just a little longer." And when disappointment visited her, she thought, "Turn this around." Each phrase became like a key she could unlock in difficult moments, pushing her to act instead of retreat. More importantly, she learned to transform criticism into fuel. Every doubt became a chance to improve her skills. Every obstacle became a way to test her strength. Her turning point came during a major presentation. The project she had carried forward for months was finally ready to be shared with the executives. The room was filled with sharp eyes, questioning minds, and the weight of expectation. At first, Maria felt the familiar fear rising. Her voice trembled as she began, and a moment of silence made her think her effort might fall flat. But then, she remembered all the nights she had worked, all the mornings she had carried herself through fatigue, and all the moments she had stood by her vision when no one else believed. She lifted her head, steadied her voice, and spoke with conviction. As she pointed out the results, drew clear conclusions from complex data, and shed light on what the numbers truly meant, something remarkable happened. The room shifted. Doubtful faces turned into nods of agreement. Skeptical questions softened into supportive dialogue. The same people who once overlooked her ideas were now leaning forward. With the breakthrough presentation behind her, Maria found herself standing on a new plateau. Yet she quickly learned that success was not a final destination. It was only another beginning. As her role expanded, the challenges grew larger, the risks heavier, and the responsibilities more complex. Suddenly, she was no longer just proving herself, she was guiding others, making decisions that affected entire teams. And this was the true test. Could she carry the weight of leadership without losing the spark that had set her apart? At first, the pressure was immense. Every project demanded coordination, and every meeting seemed to carry higher stakes. There were moments when Maria felt her world might fall apart. A delayed shipment threatened deadlines. A colleague nearly backed out of a crucial task. Even technology seemed to turn against her, with systems breaking down at the worst possible times. Yet instead of retreating, Maria leaned on the lessons she had already mastered. She told herself, "Don't back down, don't turn away. Turn this problem over in your mind until you find a way through." This mindset allowed her to move from reaction to strategy. One of her greatest strengths was her ability to bring people together. She recognized that leadership was not about doing everything alone, but about creating common ground. When tension rose between departments, she called for a meeting. Not to assign blame, but to clear the air. She encouraged each person to put themselves in the other's place, and, slowly, misunderstandings gave way to solutions. It wasn't easy, but by keeping a cool head, she helped others find their feet. What could have been a complete breakdown turned into a breakthrough in teamwork. Maria also discovered the importance of pacing herself. In the early days, she had worked through the night, burning energy recklessly. But now she realized that to go the distance, she needed to take time to reflect, recharge, and regain perspective. Instead of ignoring exhaustion, she learned to pause, to put off less urgent matters, and to focus on what truly carried weight. Ironically, slowing down sometimes allowed her to move faster in the long run. This balance became one of her signs. Maria's rise to leadership had been marked by determination, resilience, and the ability to turn obstacles into opportunities. But the greatest test of her journey arrived unexpectedly. One morning, the company announced a massive restructuring plan. Entire departments would be merged, new systems would be introduced, and positions once secure would suddenly feel uncertain. Fear spread quickly. Whispers filled the hallways. People wondered if they would lose their jobs, or if the future they had worked toward would simply fall apart. As tension grew, all eyes turned to Maria. She was no longer just a promising employee, she was a figure people trusted. And now, they needed her more than ever. This was her moment to prove whether she could stand her ground not only for herself, but also for everyone who looked up to her. Instead of panicking, Maria chose to rise above the chaos. She gathered her team and spoke with clarity. We can't control every change, but we can control how we respond. We will hold on to what makes us strong, our teamwork, our vision, our creativity, and we will move forward together. Her words carried weight, calming anxious minds. For the first time in days, people felt they had direction. The restructuring was not smooth. Projects were delayed, responsibilities shifted, and some colleagues even decided to back out. But Maria refused to let the team fall behind. She organized training sessions so everyone could get the hang of the new systems. She encouraged them to bring forward their ideas instead of hiding their worries. And when problems threatened to overwhelm them, she reminded everyone to carry on, step by step, until progress returned. Her leadership became a beacon. Slowly, what once felt like disaster began to fall into place. Departments that had clashed before started to find common ground. New tools, though difficult at first, eventually helped the team work faster. And through it all, Maria never turned her back on her people. She stood with them, guided them, and reminded them that every challenge was also an opportunity to grow. Then came the moment of